Okay, so this is going to be our last collective meeting of the year, meaning that I am going on vacation we leave in a couple days out of our house. We're just going to stay locally and go to Colorado Springs and Cheyenne, Wyoming. But I want to do two things. I want to really value my family and my wife and my kids and be present on this trip. And I also want to give you all more control without me hovering over you. So this is going to be a test run in this next week. Janine and Carla, for you all to be running the show. Proctor and Yasura, you have more capacity to work. We've got this team of interns behind us now, 6 strong interns led by Lorena, who's amazing, and they're all amazing, that we can work with. And so I really want to honor my family, honor the situation, honor the work we've done this year, but also really honor you by pushing you in this situation and having you grow from that. And I think it's going to be an awesome thing, and you will do great. And there's not really high stakes because it'll be fine if I need to do stuff when I come back. And so it should be a wonderful thing. So this is really our last meeting of the year. We were supposed to do pictures today, but it's cold and windy outside in Denver here, so we will not do that. So I will take a screenshot of us here, and that will be our, our current picture, which is good too. And yeah, I don't know how many times we've actually met, like collectively with you, Carla. I feel like we haven't met that many times collectively. So I think this is a wonderful way to end 2020. And I just briefly want to reflect on kind of how far we've come this year. This did not exist at the start of this year. We have come so far. I've been watching different things that we posted previously and really trying to determine the date when we started this. And I think that, Proctor, one of the things you said, kind of the end of spring, which is true. I think it was like April or May when we really started getting together. And really without a plan of what we were going to do, just trying to do something to move us forward. Yes, sir, you tried to leave us and stay away from us, and we did not let you. We kept dragging you back, and you've been such a great part of this too. And so I want to honor and respect you really pushing yourself from your comfort zone. I also forgot the fact that Yasura, when she started this, was literally in high school still. So she was still in high school, still a minor, and being dragged into this work and really being pushed out of her comfort zone. And you've just done so well with that, Yasura. You took your valedictorian speech in stride and did such a great job with that. And you've really made us all very proud and yourself proud. And so I want to really value that and your age. Proctor, you have jumped right in, as you do with everything with I've ever asked you to do, and you've really thrived in that environment too. Your connections with CU Boulder are going to be so wonderful for you and us. You worked really hard to get to that school. You've got into other schools as well, but I think, like you said in one of your write-ups and speeches, that Boulder's kind of destiny for you, and you're going to benefit so much from that, even though you got into NYU and Howard as well. And you've really done such a wonderful job on all capacities of this, but specifically with the mentorship interviews, you really ran with those and have really benefited from those, learning from people and making connections and diving into that work. You do not seem like an introvert, but I know you are one. And so really pushing your comfort level on that has made me so proud. And you're just capable of unlimited upside. You have so much potential. And I forget that you're so young too, because of the fact that you're so mature in so many ways. And so I'm so proud of the work that you've done. We've been very close through the wedding filming throughout the years. So we kind of started this work, me and Proctor, even before this, for about a year, I would say, year and a half, where you've been working with me on wedding videos, and we've connected and kind of talked about business and all that. And I really have loved our relationship, Proctor, and our connection as a mentor to you. I think it's just made me really proud the growth you've already shown, and you're just getting started. And so I think that's just a wonderful thing. And I'm so proud of you and the work you've done this year too. Janine, for you, you really have pushed your comfort levels as well. You are definitely a natural introvert, and you have really taken this business side of this, really pushed yourself, and are so willing to push yourself, and have done such a great job with it. And on top of that, your interviewing skills, I think, are something that's inspirational for us all. That the legacy interviews that you've conducted have really cemented the fact of the value that we can provide people. And specifically with Veronica, that's already absolutely priceless and will be for her family. But the gentleness of which you bring into this world and strength at the same time, that you've been doing all this with a toddler who is now walking and talking. She was kind of stationary when we started this process, and now she's all over the place. And you've kept moving forward, and you've grown so much in so many ways, and still valued yourself, and really saw the value of what we're doing right away, and really been a mentor to our younger people, Proctor and Yasura, because of your age difference with them and your maturity level due to having kids young. You've got one on the way, and so even with that, you've taken that in stride and still continue to work hard. And so I'm so proud of the work that you have done, and I can't wait to see how many more lives you'll impact in this business and in your future in general. You're just getting started as well. And then Carla, for you, you've been such a wonderful addition to what was really a strong team already. And really, I think we had a close bond already, but it was never an issue for me to bring you in, because I knew, first of all, I got right away that you're incredible and you can do anything. And especially with the business side and organizational side, management side, networking side, all the things that you bring to the table are unbelievable. And so it was seamless, absolutely seamless. Bringing someone in could change the dynamic. It could make things awkward. There's so many negatives that could happen, and none of those happened with you coming in. Even in like a leadership role you came into, which is, I think your relationship with Janine previously and her respect for you really helped with that. And Janine, your willingness to work with someone else and bring someone else that's outside really into this full force is a great statement for that. But Carly, you add so much to our team, and you've made me so proud with the work that you're already doing and the work that we'll continue to do while you're doing this with the 1-year-old, the 3-year-old, and 8-year-old is remarkable. And I think you're just getting started too. And I forget about your age as well, because you're so mature. And really with all of you, I see myself as a mentor to you in many ways, but I also very much see us as peers. And that's something that I want you to know from me, is this is really something where I see myself in this with you on the same level as you, that this is something that we're doing together. And so that's really the reason that I wanted to talk to all of you today, is I have been thinking a lot of different ways of how we can be successful in this business. And our recent meetings, Janine and Carla, with Aaron Quitkin, I think is how you pronounce his name, with Renee from the Women's Foundation, and I forgot the name of the man we just talked to from Regis, but with all of them kind of really reflecting on where we are with Mamabird, looking at this new year, where we want to go with Mamabird. I've always thought that we wanted to move this company to be, or not always, but most recently to a non-for-profit, because there's benefits to that as far as fundraising. It makes it very clear that I'm not doing this to make money. And so there's a lot of advantages to that. But thinking and really reflecting in the last few days about our journey, about your competencies and your capabilities, about what our company stands for. I'm coming here today to let you all know this will happen in 2021, and it'll happen with your permission, and it'll be well guided and well thought out. But I want to let you know that as of today, I want you to be aware that I'm considering you and will make you formally partners in this business, meaning that we will all be equal partners. And so there's 5 of us. And so you will have the same ownership in the company that I will have if you want it. And you will then be able to really be empowered, right? And so, and not just you, this is a situation where you will then literally be on par with me and equal with me in the company. We need to go, I've talked to a lawyer already to make sure this is something that is not exposing you to risk. So we need to figure out the law part of everything as we move forward. I don't really think this stops at us either. And we need to figure out a way to do that, but meaning that this could be an employee-run company, meaning that as we expand and grow, and you will all be now an equal voice at the table for this, is that we could bring in other women to own with us as well. So that it's something that, again, is really owned by the people it represents, what I think is a beautiful thing. It would be a social enterprise in that capacity, so that you're doing it for the right reasons. We'll make sure that we're very clear on kind of what our goals are moving forward. We would wait for 2021 for tax reasons. There's tax implications with this kind of thing in the future, and then you'll have to learn about more of that in the business side. So it'll push all of you to learn about more of that. And you, when you're introducing yourself instead of an independent contractor, you're now introducing yourself as an equal partner and owner of this company. And so that changes everything. The other thing that makes me just like over the moon and almost wanting to cry when I think about it is then this company, who again is for young women of color, is now Black female owned, right? It's Black female owned. It is Latina female owned. It is Indigenous female owned. It's Muslim female owned. Like the power that comes from that is just phenomenal. And so also what comes with that for me is there's always been a somewhat of a hesitation on my part in even pushing our product in this business as much forward as possible, because I have been aware of my own, the optics of me owning this company too. So me having full ownership of this company and potentially benefiting from that and from your work is not a good thing and should not be there. And so now us being equal partners, any way I ever benefit from this, you'll be benefiting in the same way in making those decisions. So that just changes the dynamic completely too. So now I feel I can go full force. I've been going full force, but I think that there's still another gear that I can have with this. And now I've got no, not that there was any shame, but no embarrassment or no whatever, because now we're equal in this, right? And so when I get paid, if I get paid in the company like you get paid, then there's no issue with that. You'll need to be more aware of the money component of it too, because now this will be your money that we're paying to people. And so you need to be conscious of that. And so that can change dynamics too, but that's an important thing for you all to learn as well. I still want it to be, and we still need to work this out together, a model where it's not a forever thing. And so what that looks like, I don't want any of us to be able to sell our shares in the company. And so that'll be written into language that you can't like profit off of it or sell it to someone who wouldn't have the same mindset as us. I think it could be something where if someone really wanted to sell or not be involved anymore, then we all collectively can come to mindset of what that would look like if someone needs it. And I trust that you can all work that out and figure it out too. And so that part of it too, I think it's just a different dynamic. I think in the future, for me, where I'm at in life currently, I still see myself as a leader and a mentor in this role. But as the future and you take more ownership, then that goes away too, and it becomes even more empowering to you and the people we bring on board. And so I think that it's just a beautiful thing. Another thing that's beautiful about it is now with being women-led, women of color led and owned, it opens you up and our business up to unlimited funding. And so when we talked to Renee, I just watched the video of Renee again last night from the Women's Foundation, and she talked about we could do something where we have a fiscal sponsor and we get money through that, which I do want to work with the Center of Trauma and Resilience. And I've got a meeting with Kathy right after this. But even more than that, I think, is just walking the walk that we will be female owned, right? So you will own collectively 4/5 of this company will be women of color that will own this company. And so I'm the vast minority in this, right? And so with that too, there's so many options for funding. There's so many options for empowerment and connections that makes us even more able to get publicity. I think we can get publicity based off of this and off of the work we're doing in a way now. And also it becomes more real for you all. And so I think you've all been pouring your heart into this, but now this being your company is another level too. And so now you see that this is your baby that you're growing as well. And I think you already kind of feel that way, but now it'll be backed up. And so you will have that again, you'll be peers with me. And so collectively, I think it's neat that there's a lot of us. And so if there are disagreements in the future, then we figure that out and talk about it collectively. But I think that it's just a wonderful thing. And I think that going into 2021, I wanted you to know this. I want you to know again that I love all of you, that I believe in all of you so much. And I think that this is just aligned with what we should be doing. This is everything that we've been doing already. And now too, for our interns, for your peers and former, your friends, like them seeing that this exists and that you're being, empowered this way is, I think, really important. For my peers, for white people, for white allies, I think this is important for them to see that I'm not just talking the talk, I'm walking the walk with this. And I think that's really important. And so I think, again, it's good business. It's a win-win on all fronts. And that's really what I wanted to bring you here to tell you today. So give me some thoughts about that. What do you think?
I'll be the first to say that, well, thank you. This is intimidating, but I we've we've all got each other's backs, and we're all learning together, and so honestly, opportunities are endless, and uh, yeah, just wow.
Yeah, I just want to give a big thank you to you and also to everyone for like all the work we've been putting in, and just you, Clark, for like reaching out and like wanting to help us in this way, because like with the degrees you have and your knowledge, there's so many things you can be doing, but you're here like wanting to make a positive impact on the community. So I think it's awesome, and I just want to say that Mama Bird has like honestly like helped me to become a better person and changed me a lot, because before I was like, I don't know, just like not as willing to take opportunities up and take leadership roles. But like because of Mama Bird, it's really pushed me and influenced me to like want to like do those things and be okay with like working with people and talking to people and reaching out to people. It's really like allowed me to see the importance of all of these things and shaping myself to become a better person. So thank you.
I totally agree. On the same, I'm on the same boat. I've always wanted to do things, but as you said, like I tend to like kind of step back when things get too like much overwhelming. But Mama Bird has like has taught me how to like push through that discomfort. So I'm glad that we're starting this new chapter with Mama Bird.
I'm actually grateful. I'm kind of speechless to be honest with you. um, just working with all you ladies and with Dr. Clark, it's been a humbling and a very like down to earth experience, because I feel like I've gotten, even though we haven't gotten to each talk individually about each and every one of us, I feel like just reading your guys's like what you guys do and what you guys been through life, I'm a weird person, and I could just imagine like everything that you guys have all endured together in your guys' life. And for me, it's like finally, somebody who taught us in Montbello is believing in the community, and it's so rare. That has, to me, it's never happened before. And even the teachers who did have that hope for some students, it was just for some, it wasn't for all. So I'm forever grateful that Dr. Clark, you are believing in us and our tiny little community. So thank you so much.
In some ways, you remind me of, okay, this is gonna sound weird, but like in the military, when you go to basic training, drill sergeants already have like a vision, and like they see this full potential for their trainees. And even when the trainee doesn't see that in themselves, and the drill sergeant pushes and pushes and like not necessarily in a bad way, but encourages and mentors, and until the trainee actually sees their full potential and sees what they're capable of and sees all this potential, So in a way you remind me of a drill sergeant, but in the best ways possible, not in like the yelling and physical training and stuff, but I mean that with endearment. Yes, internal, yeah, just very grateful.
And that's one thing that I do want to drive home to you all is, um, this is all because you are capable too, right? Because you all have so much capability in this world, and I really think you can run this business better than anyone else, right? So you're doing something where it's not charity, it's not these other things. Like, you all have so much talent, and as you know, it's not just you. You have behind you, currently with our interns, there's so much there, and you're literally already mentoring them in a way, right? Which is already getting to be this beautiful thing, and that just feeds out to get bigger and bigger. But also, you've got friends that have capacity for things that they're not doing currently, and so there's responsibility with it. Like, as we grow, then we bring in more people. We've got to figure out how we can do that in an equitable way. But as we grow, we can impact so many people in such a positive way, and collectively too. And these are things that'll be kind of written into these contracts for ownership. We all do have, um, the end goal of helping people in mind, right? And so it's not money driven. There should be and will be money that'll come with it. To me, having you all be financially stable and making money consistently, which comes with the interviews, and for when there's business opportunities to pay within that, that's really important, because the economic empowerment is everything. So that changes everything and puts you in a place where you can do this work well, but that there's a limit to that. Proctor, you said in one of your speeches that, again, you don't want to be rich. That's not your goal, but you do realize how money can impact you and your family's life. And so that we value that part of money, but that we're not greedy about it is something that this is all about. And so with that, then we can bring in more money that can impact more people, in such beautiful ways. And as we get more of these interviews, we're going to be able to get more money in people's pockets. And also we're doing something that's really important. The interviews are really important. And so we're doing something that we really believe in. As I watched this meeting we recorded again with Renee, and this could be something, Proctor and Yusura, that you watch and goes towards your work as well, is just this, the work that we're doing, is so important just from the Mamabird interviews level, and then the grant money we've received and put into the community, the partnership with Center of Trauma and Resilience for therapy that we've done and the importance of that, the internships that I paid for over the summer then led for DPS paying for 5 more internships for our community. And so there's already been just so many great things that have moved forward. And that too also, from a marketing standpoint, again, is now this is a minority female-led company, which that's something that should be talked about and something that's wonderful. And on top of that, it now frees me to really kind of market myself in a different way, because there's not a direct benefit for me that I'm only profiting from this. And so thinking like from a teaching perspective, because I think DPS should be doing stories about us in this, and to getting publicity from that way, and having, I think, the interns like nominating me for awards and things like that, so that we can get this platform and I can speak about it in that way, where I would be kind of embarrassed by that work if it was looking like I'm profiting from it, but now it's not. And so I think that's something that can be advantageous too. And then, like I said, again, with you all, you're now introducing yourself as an owner in this company, and that changes the dynamic as well. Your LinkedIn profile, Yusura, now you're saying they're owner in this company, which right now, so owning this company means nothing financially. We have no money. we have money that I will put in there. We'll probably have in the bank when we start out $2,000 to go with. So you would technically own a fifth of that money, would be your share in this company. But what it does come with is we are absolutely going to grow, and there will be money in this company, and there will be power that comes with that, power as far as generating more money potentially, power as far as determining where that money goes for, and who it goes to, and what positions we need to hire and work with. And so those are all decisions that I think that we should make collectively, and not just me make it. I still always want to have my voice in the room and my experience in the room and wisdom, but also you all have voices, and I want you to know that I value them just as much as I value mine. And so it's something where you'll be collectively able to make decisions, even if I don't agree with them, right? Because you have the power to do that, and there is power in that. And that's good, because that's something where this work is all being done for you. And so that's something that I'm really excited about, is that now you're the leaders in this, and now this, again, just becomes an even more beautiful experience. I talked to the lawyer yesterday about multiple things. First of all, we need to have kind of really clear visions that I'm going to work on with you guys. And Carla, I forget you're connected to lawyers, so this could be an experience that you would be really helpful on too, is we're going to draft up specific language saying like things like, in whatever the best capacity of that is, that you can't sell your shares unless this and this and this happens. That our stated goal with, sorry, my mother was calling me, still there. So our stated goal with Mamabird interviews, so this is all based on Mamabird interviews, but with that, really, right now there's 2 different companies, 2 different LLCs, one's for Mamabird interviews and one's for Mamabird mentors. I'm thinking of this as being all encompassing, so we'll have to figure out how to do that too. But stated goals, like, again, no one's getting rich off of this. If we pull money out of the company, like you could pull profit. So let's say we made hundreds of thousands of dollars, you could technically pocket all of that as owners of the company, and you could get that. That's what for-profit is about. But if we ever did anything like that, it would have to be collective. Like, we'd have to do it collectively. And again, that's not the goal, because if we did start making money on top of the money that you're getting paid, greed is a hard thing to stop. And even when you're a good person, having access to this stuff could be really difficult. But that money could also go towards helping however many other people that don't have access to the same stuff you have access to. So we'll have to make those decisions collectively. So I want this language to be very firm with that. Also, I talked to him about the copywriting of the name Mamabird Interviews specifically. And he says copywriting something that's that kind of broad is very difficult. And he also suggested that we change the name, and I'm not interested in changing our name. So my solution with that is, again, getting big enough where we're synonymous with this work. So specifically Mamabird Interviews, that's our company name. But like you all say, and I all say, I would love it collectively to just people talk about it as Mamabird, because I think they will. And so it's not a formal thing, and that relates people who are connected with us in even a closer way. And the students in the program, the young people in the program, there's just a different level of that. And so when we become synonymous with this, then that's basically our copyright is we will be known for this type of work with interviews. And so then that's something where we get our kind of copyright that way. You get protected by it being common knowledge that this is what you're referring to, because we're well known, which is such a cool thing to have too. This also pushes all of us in a need to network more. And so for this specifically, you all have people that you are connected with where you can reach out and now share this news with them, and it has a different meaning or feeling now. So an example of that, Proctor, is you and Chandra, Dr. Harris McCrae at CU Boulder, right? You now reach out to her and say that here's where you're at. You just became a partial owner in this company, and equal, and not even partial, because that could imply you could have a very small percentage. We are all equal partners in ownership of this company. So we all will have 20% stake in this company, and so we are equal on that part. And so Proctor, you are now an equal owner of this company, and so with that, you're now reaching out to someone who's very well connected, and we need to start getting to the point where we're asking for sales and comfortable for asking for these interviews. We believe in them, we believe in ourselves. Who can we do work for? Who can I connect to and get in front of and talk about the work that we're doing? So she's in many different networking groups. She's well connected in so many ways. How can you get in front of her network and be supported by her and explain what we're doing so people can pay for this? And so that's something now where it's just a different dynamic with you now being an owner of this company that makes it easier for you to do that, and also more powerful messaging. And it also, again, doesn't come from me. It comes from you as someone who has power in this company. Yes, sir, I thought for the same thing with like LaDon Sullivan, who you interviewed, could be someone, kind of all the people that we did mentorship interviews with can now be reached back out to, made aware of this information that we're now equally sharing equity in this company, and that can open up all doors. Carla, for you specifically, reaching out right away to Renee from the Women's Foundation. So Renee in our meeting talked about just kind of how we would fit into the system because I'm the owner in this company. That's changed. And so now with you all owning this company just as much as me and collectively way more than me, now we are, again, majority female owned, majority female of color owned. And so with that, there's money. And so what does that look like? What do we need? What could we use? Could we do something where we get grant money to get, I don't know how much money, but where we figure out very specifically, if we had $10,000, what would we use that money for? We would hire someone, Allison, to do more social media and help train her in that. Could we hire people to mentor you two in the business roles and the connecting roles? Could we hire the woman who writes grants to help support our interns writing these grants and actually doing this and applying for additional money? What does that look like? Can we want to do these legacy interviews. Can we get someone to pay for us to interview 100 people in Montbello or whatever it would look like, right? There's so many different angles and opportunities, and she could help you figure out those things and it would be a great resource for that. Also remember, we're meeting her boss in January, which all you should be at that meeting now too, to meet her, who is the president of the Women's Foundation of Colorado and well connected. And she will have an even more compelling story to tell her. Janine, you've made a lot of connections throughout this process too, and this changes the dynamic of talking to the people that you've talked to previously. As you lead now as an owner, and so that helps impact the messaging for all the people that you've talked to. And so as far as getting in front of people. Who does that look like? How does that look? You now are young too, still, right? And you're the owners of this company. And so with that too, I think there's more support that people will give you because they see that there's power behind it. It's not a short-term thing. You're someone who's gonna, you know, be around this hopefully for a long time. And I think that was your plans all initially. But that you're now more committed to this even than even before, because now this is committed to you in a way that should be really empowering in that way too. And then, yeah, I think I covered all of you. And then for me too, then it's that way too. And so I really want to try to figure out kind of our next steps. I want to be away from the business on my trip for multiple reasons, but I kind of want to have you have specific things that you're working on in that time. Janine and Carla, the first one needs to be the customer service of the company with the interviews that we've already sold. So continuing to make sure we're communicating with those people, continuing to make sure there's no waiting for us on that end, that we're communicating with people regularly, that you both are holding each other accountable for that, and communicating regularly. Proctor and Yusura are both working on kind of documenting our first year, which here's your climax, Proctor and Yusura, right? This is just a great way to end this year and a great way for this business to move forward. Is this could be something where either you start your story or end your story or whatever throughout the process, but the fact that you now are going to be equal partners in this company, I think is a wonderful way to end this year. And so documenting that in a way that people will watch it and we can watch back on our year as we move forward, I think will be a really powerful thing. So working on that during this time, I think is a really good use of your time. And then I feel like in a lot of ways, then it's not as much of a rush, meaning that this to me makes it like certain that we're going to be successful. So I think that because the money part can come because it is really walking the walk with you all, because now I'm going to be really empowered myself to brag about you all even more as my partners, to brag about the work we're doing even more, because it's not going to be in any way only benefiting me. And that's very clear, because now we've kind of taken, this is another thing with the for-profit model versus nonprofit, is I think that the way we get the most exposure and the most attention is with for-profit. Unfortunately, I think that America respects for-profit companies more than it does nonprofits. And there's a million nonprofits and they're all doing such good work. And my goal with what we're doing is that we're self-sufficient, that we can get this grant money initially, but then we find different revenue streams for people to then pay to support us. So they're paying to support us for something that they value. And with that, legacy interviews, these other interviews, we talked about educational components in the future. There's like unlimited ways to do that. And so as we go that route, I think that us being a for-profit company is actually will be respected more in the world, and there'll be more opportunity for that. Also, then that leaves more money for other companies who don't have those options, that are doing really good work in the nonprofit space, that they can get the money that we may have gotten in that case. So that's a wonderful thing too, because we're getting other money. And so I think that that's something that is really exciting for me now. If we wanted to, we can always transfer this to a nonprofit in the future. One of the advantages of being a nonprofit is when people pay for the interviews, then that could be a tax write-off, which I think would be an easier sale, but I think we don't need that. I think we can do it where we can do it without that. I also think we're basically going to run as a nonprofit, meaning like if we keep extra money, we're taxed on that money as a for-profit business if we keep it around. But I think our goal is definitely going to be to disperse the money and find uses for it for the community, and hiring people to do various jobs and various things. And so, and our business model isn't one of massive profits anyways. And so that's something too, where I think we stay true to the work we're doing and really do it effectively. And so all of this is just really good. And really, I don't know, really just, it all just makes perfect sense to me now. And I have zero trepidations about this. My main concern about this and why it didn't happen previously was from a liability standpoint. I never wanted to be a burden on you. And if it is in any way, then we'll work through that together, but I don't think it will be. But for example, if we took out a loan, which I don't intend on doing, then you're now, as an owner of the company, you're now on the hook for that loan, and that loan could affect your credit if we default on it or something like that. But our business model is one where we don't need to do that. We need to get business, kind of with the money that we have. And it's something where we don't like have that big capital investment. So I think that's a really, really cool part of this too. Another thing is it may be a lot more flexible with now how we use the money in the company, depending on your situation. So because you know you're an owner now, and depending on where you are financially and we're at different points financially, you may not need money right away. And so that money could go to other things within the company. I want you all to be paid regularly, and that's the goal, but it gives you more flexibility with that because you're now an owner. And so that brings on a different feeling and a bit different reality for you too, that you have other value for the company and that you have value in the company in that way where you benefit directly if the company is successful. And so that gives more flexibility if we want to bring other people on or whatever it looks like. I want to find grant money to pay these interns. That's something I think that Renee could help us with too, potentially. DPS could help us with too, potentially. I want to find money to pay Allison better and really get our social media going. I want to find sales for these interviews. I want you to be doing a lot of sales for these interviews, and I think you can start promoting us in ways like Black business catalogs now, which we are now a Black business with this. Latina business catalogs, which we're now a Latina business. Indigenous, like it's kind of crazy to me, but this is like insane diversity we have on this. You're not diverse from an economic standpoint or where you grew up, but like the overall diversity that we have from female leadership and female ownership now, to me, is wild. And that wasn't intentional. It was you, just the way that you are and who you are and the skill sets that you bring to the table. But there's not any other company that I could ever think of that would have as diverse a female leadership and ownership as we would have, which there's huge opportunity in that too. And so there's opportunities in this way too. And like in the future, and we talked about this at the start, if we're successful with this, people could pay you to speak at conferences and things like that, and pay you to make appearances at different things. And so all of that too is different with you having ownership in this company. There's many different, organizations that do press. Sir, you're talking to a vet in the future. Now you going into that conversation with her and what you're doing changes things. And so that's something where she should do a piece on us and Bitch Media or whatever she runs. And there's so much potential for that too. And hopefully this is just the start of it, right? The beauty of this, and we'll have to figure out how that goes, is I think that as we expand, if people are committed and doing a great job and it makes sense, then they almost come in as equal owners too. And I don't know how that works in the future, but like they feel like they have ownership of this in a way that we can, again, empower them the way this is going to empower you. And then I get even more diluted, right? So then it's even more female owned, which is awesome too. Or, and not just female, I think really just marginalized communities and marginalized young people in general. As we expand, we'll be able to expand kind of our purpose with that too. Trans femmes, like Amayas. I think there's just unlimited potential. How are we doing with time here? Okay, I've got 20 minutes here. So what I want to do actually is I want to leave you guys. So I'm going to leave you, and I want you for this next 20 minutes to kind of talk to each other, responses to how you feel about this, responses. Proctor, I'm going to make you owner of this. So you can record. I think I'm recording on my computer, so I don't know how that's going to work. Actually, I'll just leave this going, and no, I want you to start another one. So if I get logged out for some reason, then you figure it out collectively. But I want you to talk about your response, your reaction to this without me. I will be watching this in the future. But actually, if you could, almost for marketing purposes, reiterate just the four of you what this has meant to you. So what Mamabird has meant to you. Can I do this? Who can write this down? Janine, can you write this down? Is that what you're doing?
If I can find a pen. My okay. Sister took my pen. I've got a 6-year-old sister and a 3-year-old sister, and Thea. Okay. So
you've grown. Okay, so what this experience means to you, Mamabird. How have you grown? How you see this company growing when successful? What you can do this week. Okay, it's gone. Okay, so then what this experience means to you, specifically with Mamabird, how have you grown based on it? how you see this company growing when successful and impacting others in the world. And then what can you do this week when I'm gone? So what can you do to move our business forward, to get exposure, to make connections, to try to make sales for our interviews, to try to go down the path of generating money, and talking to people in that capacity, as I want you to start working on kind of a plan for what that looks like without me. Remember too, we have these interns that are really, I watched the meeting that they did without us, Yusura, the meeting that you started. And Lorena is incredibly competent. So she's really the leader of the interns and she can do anything. And so putting her to use is really important. And not only is she really competent, she's really excited about this opportunity. Just like you all, she's never been empowered in this way before, which just brings so much joy to my heart. And so she's like, she said in this thing, so I guess I'm kind of the leader, and that's really exciting to me because I've never done anything like that, and just so cute. And so I want her to get to the level where she's unabashedly the leader, but that she also just is really excited about this opportunity and sees the potential in the work that we're doing. And that's before she's even getting paid for it, right? I would love her to get paid for this, but that's because she wants to be doing this. And so she's so capable. So what can we be using her for? How can we be using her effectively? And then also with that, with her leading the interns, how can they all be used effectively too? Because they're so wonderful and competent as well. Is that could be with grant writing, that could be with reaching out to people and networking for us. That could be with writing, we need like a press release for kind of this kind of stuff, which I wanted to talk to Aaron Quitkin about, that there's so much potential with that. And so what can you do in that time and really kind of make a plan for what this week looks like, knowing that you still have life and the holidays and you all have your own families. So there's not an immediate rush to do everything right away, but what can you do that can move us forward the most? That's the highest leverage with the time that you do. And that's something that too, now I feel like we can really do a better job of uploading meetings like this again. Like I feel that no one's going to watch this now, but in the future they could, and we also could grow from this and seeing this. And so posting regularly on YouTube. YouTube is going to become the future of entertainment and already is in a lot of capacities. Will people watch the programming that we put up there if we put it up there? And what does that look like? We still have these mentor interviews that we haven't done. I just reached out to a woman that, which I need to talk to the grant community about, that has cancer or had cancer, is a cancer survivor, to connect me with different cancer groups. And she said that that's something that she sees so much beauty in, but we need to be conscious of the people and potential secondary trauma that the interviewers would receive from that, which is something I didn't think about. But I think with being prepped, it could be something that could be a really good thing that we do, as well as really good marketing and really good for future sales, that we get into that community and do work in that community too. I think there comes publicity, Yusura. We reach out to the people who did their piece on you and try to have them do a piece now on us and the work that we're doing here with the business. And I think we can now get even more publicity that way and really push in that way. And getting better at LinkedIn and posting about the work we're doing consistently. I want to just in general try to communicate kind of the work that we're working on and the things I'm learning throughout this for you all, but also for your peers in the grant program and also for your peers outside of it. So I see too, you can create a Facebook group for, let's say, Mamabird mentors specifically. And it's kind of like we tried with this grad school and we tried with the group chat, where if I'm just regularly putting information in here, then that's also stored that way too. And so almost like it becomes a classroom where all these things that you learn become really impactful. We talked about at the start, and I keep rambling, I want to go, but we talked about in the start that you all would get, financial education. That's something we need to do this next year, that a percentage of your money goes to investing, and that's guaranteed. That you're getting regular therapy, and that's guaranteed, and figuring out that. We need to set all these things up specifically, and you being deciding factors in that's going to make a big difference too, right? And that's a neat thing about there being so many of us, to me, is Yusura, if you're unable to move forward because you're dealing with stuff, then you now have a support network to help move you and protect you while you do move forward, and that's really badass. So there's so much good to what we're doing here. So congratulations. It's worth nothing currently, but it is worth so much, so much in so many different ways. I love you all. I am going to leave, so talk about those things. You have those things down, Janine? Okay, and you guys can meet as long as you want to meet. Let me see if that's true, because I need to, one second. All right, I'm stopping my recording now.